No kings. They wanted no kings, but they got a king. King Trump. They failed. Me and George were just talking about this. This is one of the only government shutdown where the party that's in power is not being blamed. Trump's approval rating went up, George, and we're going to cover that. How did your No Kings Day go?
Well, I was sick. So actually, you know what? I wasn't sick. What happened was God noticed that an intergalactic space virus was making its way to Earth. And he thought, okay, I need my strongest warrior to fight this and destroy the virus and its massive effectiveness before it gets passed on to the grandmas, right? So he was like, who's my strongest warrior? And I popped up in his mind, and then he gave me the space virus. Then I got sick, but I defeated it very fast in record time. And now when you get sick, Vlad, you're not going to die because of the hard work that I did
because of what
weekend. So you're actually welcome. But anyways, yes, it was interesting because I thought I'd be seeing a lot of young people. You know, I thought I'd be seeing a lot of interest. I didn't see the usual suspects at the protest, which is actually a good thing.
Very good thing.
Yeah, but I'm sure you
I want to play this clip, and we're going to continue. I want to show you this post. But ladies and gentlemen, do us a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Where are you tuning in from? How far is this going? You know I love knowing. Plus, George is back on YouTube. His new channel is down below in the description. Subscribe. Check this out. This is how you troll the left. I've shared this, but I want to share this a little more, right? It's a no kings protest. I remind them Trump is king.
Fucking lie, and you should know that. Hey, we won. Trump 2028. He will run for a third term. Trump is gonna run. He will become king. 3 terms. He's gonna overturn. No more elections. No more elections. Trump is going to be king forever. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you are something else, man.
Buddy.
You are something else, bro.
Dude, I had such a good time. By the way, have you seen this video today of Trump trolling? No, that one's not it. Never mind. We'll get to it. I have it right here. No, here it is. So somebody tells Trump that the ambassador from Australia said something bad about him. And Trump's like, is he here? And they're like, he's over there. Watch this.
I'm concerned in Australia that it's taken 9 months to get this meeting. Have you had any concerns with this administration with the stance on Palestine, climate change, or even things the ambassador said about you in the past, the Australian ambassador?
I don't know anything about him. I mean, if he said bad, then maybe he'll like to apologize. I really don't know. Did an ambassador say something bad about him? Don't tell me. I don't. Where is he? Is he still working for you?
Yeah.
You said bad?
Before I took this position, Mr. President.
I don't like you either. I don't.
Trump just cuts him off, doesn't let him finish his sentence, and just says, I don't like you either. You suck.
Yeah.
Now, George, funny. Let's get back to the point. No kings, the stupid protests. Why? What's it all about?
Well, I went on TikTok the other night, and I just that's kind of my platform to gauge normie opinion. TikTok is a very normie-filled platform. X, Twitter, is different. It's a very political platform. So the extremes from both sides exist on X, and any other platform where people can post their opinions and not be reprimanded for it.
Breaking up.
So am I breaking up, or are you breaking up, Vlad?
Is that's not me?
Yeah, you
good? Okay,
yeah, you were frozen on my screen, but I don't know if it means I was frozen and then I didn't think you were. But anyways, so back to No Kings. Man, I had a really good thought that was coming down, and then it just stopped. It just disappeared. So I was on TikTok. Right, TikTok.
Okay.
And I just searched deportations. And I have to say, bro, the optic war is intense, right? So you'll see these videos of ICE agents arresting somebody and their wife or their daughter, or somebody is like recording them and the whole interaction. And these things are getting tens of millions of views and a bunch of likes, and the comments are like, oh, this is so sad. And it's a leftist platform, understood. But a lot of people that I even know, have kind of bought into, they're like deceived about what deportations are and what they're not. They think Trump is literally just targeting brown people. So they're very deceived on that end. So I expected that when a No Kings protest happens, and it's this big anticipated event in October, I expected hundreds of thousands of brown people, of young people in particular, to be in the streets, because those are the difference makers. When they protest, it really matters. But we didn't see that at all. What we saw were boomers that had not gotten out of their house for years, who live on retirement benefits. They came out in the streets all over the country. They were white, if we're being honest, they were white boomers. And the boomer generation is funny. It's interesting because I think all the boomers grew up in a very propagandized era. So half the boomers are right wingers for a different reason. But the other half, I think the majority of boomers actually are very left leaning. They're full blown commies. I don't know why that is, but I think it's because they grew up when the CIA was experimenting, buying up media, Operation Mockingbird and all these other things. They grew up in a very propaganda filled era. And so a lot of them are still deceived. They have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, you'll see these interviews of people asking, hey, why did you come out to protest? And they can't answer why they came out to protest. What it is about the Trump administration is kingship like. I don't understand it at all. But I was actually very pleased to see only boomers, or a majority of the protesters, be boomers. Because if you saw young men in those streets, I'd be concerned if I was Trump, if I was the Republican apparatus. I'd be concerned if young people came out to protest, because Gen Zers will hold a lot of political power in the next election, more than they did in 2024. It was actually young men that won Trump that last election. I was also surprised that there weren't as many Hispanics out there, because they see the whole immigration issue differently, especially the ones that are legal immigrants in the United States. They see it differently. They see that I had to go through a process. Why can't you? So I think they stayed at home. And then that video from CNN is really interesting.
I want to play. Yeah, I want to play this. This is mind blowing.
About Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating. We're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point, and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this: the first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay. What about the question of blame? Okay, you see here, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans, blame Trump a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different
That is
world.
That is huge. Like that is a massive shift in just these 6 years. Last time 61%. So people understand, and right now people more than ever understand the Democrat Party is the party of globalists, the uniparty, the rhinos. Man, this is why these No Kings, again, I was there all day long. I mean, I was bumping Bryson Gray. I mean, there were no minorities. For one young Gen Z person, there were 40, maybe 50 boomers. And it was just
Gen Xers. Let's not only boomer bash. There were also a lot of those 55-year-olds. I guess that would be my mom's generation, Gen X, like under 60, right? So there were also a lot of them.
Yeah, my parents are, in their mid 60s, and they're like, how are these people so brainwashed? CNN. What is it, like 80% of CNN viewers are 45 and above?
Yeah, it's similar to Fox News, to be fair, right? So only people in that age demographic still watch cable TV. Most people will spend most of their time on the internet, on YouTube, on X, and other platforms. What I think is interesting about that, Vlad, that 48% that blame him, that's a huge number. So I heard that there were consultants that told Republicans that a shutdown would aid them in the midterms. Typically, what happens is when the government's about to shut down, Republicans bend down and give the Democrats what they want, which is, in this case, trillions of dollars in spending in industries that Democrats are lobbied by. Democrats don't want healthcare spending because they want you to be healthy. They want healthcare spending because their biggest donors come from that industry. And so their stakeholders are saying, hey, we need government subsidies. Our businesses are having to compete for the first time in years by quality of product, but we need government subsidies to, be infused into our industry. Just like when Republicans have the ability to shut down the government, they get military funding, right? The military industrial complex loves the Republican Party. They fund Republicans tremendously. So it's just a matter of lobbies, and Big Pharma wants Democrats to push for bigger health spending and bigger, social welfare program spending, because those companies donate to Democrats. Those jobs that are benefited by all this spending are union jobs, and unions vote for Democrats. So Democrats are doing this for a political reason because their donor base is hurting right now. And it's a good thing for the country, right? If Big Pharma is making less money and they're not getting as many big government contracts, that's a great thing for the rest of us. It means we actually get a competitive health marketplace. So now, if you look at that approval rating, it proves that whoever told the Republicans and the Trump administration to be okay with a government shutdown did the right thing, because people are rightfully seeing that this is the Democrats' fault. I mean, Republicans are all voting to open the government, and Democrats, like the few of them that are needed to, invoke cloture, they're all voting against it. So it's actually great to see that number right there.
Here's the thing. This is the first shutdown in American history where the party in power presents a clean slate resolution to keep the government open, and the other party, who's in the minority, votes against it. This is something we as conservatives, Republican, Trump supporters, all of us, even if you're watching this video, you don't have a big social media platform, tell your friends, your liberal friends, your neighbors, co-workers, and tell them to fact check you and fact check me. This is the first time in American history that the ruling party presents a clean slate, right? Resolution to keep the government open, and the minority party says no. This has never been rejected before. By them doing this, they say, we want to keep the government shut down. We'll take the blame. So screw I got to fly tomorrow. So screw TSA, right?
By the way, my sister flew here recently to visit. She went through Denver Airport on her way back and in. She said it was like TSA was like 5 minutes, right, max, to go get through security. They weren't hassling. So it's funny, the government shuts down and TSA works better. That's kind of funny how that works.
Have you noticed it's hurricane season? No hurricanes, no chemtrails. I'm not a big into chemtrails, but we all know now it's a real thing because Tennessee had to outlaw it. Chemtrails are gone. It's hurricane season. There aren't any hurricanes. It's so normal. Like the government's shut down. But if you look around, everything is so normal. Think about it. It's
Well-
strange that at this time of year there's no tornadoes, no hurricanes, nothing all across this nation. Check
Well,
this
the
out.
one thing that I'd say a government shutdown does impact is a little bit of economic activity, right? You have millions of federal workers who aren't getting paid, which means they don't have the ability to, spend money in the economy. So there is a slowdown in that respect.
They
But
will get back
generally,
pay.
yeah,
They will
they'll
get
get
back pay.
exactly. They'll get that money back. And I opened one of my banks, and they were offering like a program where if I was a government employee, I guess I'd get paid ahead of time, I guess, like a loan sort of thing. So there's programs, banks are kind of, stepping in and taking advantage, and they're going to charge those people 30% interest. we know what they do, usury. But yeah, let's see what happens.
I want to jump on this, the indictments. That's what we voted for. And I do have one complaint with this Trump administration. By October 1st of 2021, the Biden administration had already indicted, arrested, fingerprinted 71 Trump associates, officials, or someone close to the first Trump administration. By October 1st, all we had
Really?
was Comey.
That's
Yep.
high, bro.
Yep. And right now, all we have is Comey. Who else? Big Tushy Cushy, Letitia James,
Big
and
tushy, tushy.
John Johnny Boy. But listen to this. This is what Representative Daryl Issa is saying. As soon as the government's back open, Adam Schiff is going to be probably indicted.
I want to give you the last word here, Congressman. Obviously, we have just massive respect for you and your work, especially on the Judiciary Committee. A bit of a legend there. But you serve on this committee. There's obviously been a considerable amount of indictments: James Comey, Letitia James, John Bolton, and there's many people, little birdies, chirping at us saying they're just getting started. Can you give me some insight into what's going to happen in the judiciary? What can we expect when the government reopens and when the gears start turning again?
Well, we have a very, very large amount of subpoenas out there, some of which are going on. We're still doing the depositions and so on, and even during the closure, that's still business we're allowed to do. So we're going to be prepared when we reopen. And you hit just a good example of the tip of the iceberg. There are lots of people who were guilty of false statements and criminal activity. Adam Schiff being one of them, we all know, that hasn't been indicted. But, he not only lied in plain sight and disclosed information, but he vilified his fellow colleagues falsely. So, should he be held accountable? Absolutely. Is the Attorney General looking at it? Absolutely. Will anyone in Congress feel that it is unfair if he is indicted for his criminal activity? I don't think so. Not a bit.
Really? The senator from your state is you're saying that he's going to be indicted?
Well, I'm saying that he could well be indicted. He committed crimes in plain sight. People know that he made false statements, that he revealed information, that he abused his office, and he did so at a high cost. The president has taken a little bit of a pushback. You see him tweeting, but he's not calling the attorney general into his office and saying, go do this. Just the opposite. She has a great team that is doing their job, including obviously the FBI. But the fact that it's 7 or 8 months, if Trump was going to weaponize, those indictments would have been on day 1 or day 2.
Like the Biden administration.
Yeah.
And I made a video earlier that I uploaded this morning onto this channel where there is a Democrat whistleblower who used to work for the Democrats, who's now working for the FBI. We don't know his name yet, but he actually testified to Kash Patel and the FBI that Adam Schiff actually, during Trump's first term, when he was part of the oversight committee, actually said, we're going to leak this classified document, these classified files to the media. And this certain whistleblower said, wait, but that's illegal. That's treasonous. And they say, don't worry, we won't get caught. And he's testifying like, Adam told me to do it. And he said, don't worry, you'll never get caught.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the many crimes Schiff committed. I mean, the whole Russia hoax situation was purely him and Hillary Clinton and a few others orchestrated that whole nonsense. And they defrauded the United States. They defrauded the FBI. They defrauded the government. So there's no immunity, by the way, preventing him from being prosecuted, right?
Yep.
Because those actions were outside the bounds of his authority as a congressman at the time. It would be immaculate to see it happen. I do have a skepticism with that kind of thing, Vlad, because do we really expect an indictment of such high profile? By the way, if Pam Bondi makes it happen, I'll wear my hat and I'll tip my hat out to her. Okay. I'll tip my hat out to her. I don't wear hats often, but I'll tip my hat out. I'll say, all right, Pam, okay, you're not just a pretty face. You actually did the work for once, right? The thing with Adam Schiff and these prosecutions in general is if we're not going to prosecute them in the next 2 months, when are we? Because as soon as spring of 2026 comes, what do we have that's going to fill the mainstream headlines? Midterms, right?
Yeah.
Everyone and their mama is going to be talking about the 2026 midterms. This is kind of like one of the unfortunate things about the country is that we have so many elections in such a short period of time. The president gets 4 years. Members of Congress get 2 years. There's not much continuity. There's always an election coming up.
Yeah.
So that, it means you can't do much, which is...
By the way, dude, really quick, I'm sorry, but this almost flew out of my mind. I'm registered voter in Arizona. As you know, I moved there right before the 2024 election. Right now, because we're in the middle of moving from Arizona to Florida. By the way, if you're from Florida, I'm flying to Florida for 2 weeks tomorrow. Bang my line. Let's have some dinner. Just as long as you're not a liberal and you won't kill me. That's what we do.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't want them to bang your line. Because
bang my line, baby.
Some liberal will. And be careful out there. All these videos are making, man, they're kind of making me nervous.
But check this out. I'm not registered in Washington as a voter anymore. Guess what I got in the mail yesterday at my parents' house?
Definitely not a mail-in ballot, right?
A mail-in ballot. Not only that. I have a good friend. He's a friend of my father-in-law's. He came here from Ukraine when the war started. He was a commander. He got shot. And then they shipped him to America to save his life. Because he has family here, he's here like legally for up to 5 years because he has so much family. They gave him even under Trump, they just approved him for another couple of years. He's working, he's paying taxes. He's not one of these people sucking on the system. He bought a box truck, he lives in it, he works, he pays his taxes. He needed a Washington driver's license. I took him last week. They know he just came to America 2 years ago. He's on a very small temporary visa. He's never going to be here forever. He knows it. He's got the paperwork. He's like, yeah, I can have a driver's license, but I got to leave by the end of 2029. I can work and the war settles and I can go home. So I'm translating for him. And this is in Spokane, Washington. Dude, what color of your eyes? Are you a twin? And says, ask him if he would like to vote in our elections.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even say anything. I look at her and I say, ma'am, he's not a citizen. He's not even here on a visa. It's a temporary visa. She says, you have to ask him and he has to answer. I'm like, you want to vote? He's like, no. And then he's like, Trump. She's wearing a rainbow keychain. She went from smiles to, okay, go stand over there. Let's take your picture and get out of here. But this is happening. This is happening at the DMV to an illegal, not an illegal, but an immigrant who's here for a very short time. He was only approved until fall of 2029. That's it. You can work, make money, but then you're going home. He's fine with it. He's doing everything he needs. Do you want to vote? And when I'm like, ma'am, he's not a citizen. You have to ask him. I need him to say something.
That's
Remember
crazy.
how my relatives, after being in America for 2 months, got ballots in the mail? I showed them on your show. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. It fires me up, dude. Like you start talking about election, it just angers me what these people do, man. They're sick, they're perverted, they're full of death, destruction, and election cheating. That's it.
Yeah. I can't believe. Well, I can actually believe it because you've told me the story 50 billion other times because it keeps happening in the same state.
It keeps
This
happening
is
and
like-
happening.
Yeah, this is like your fifth family member that this has happened with.
They
So-
mail. So me and Julie, we go vote early in person in Arizona. My wife. A week later, guess what? I get it forwarded in the mail. A Washington State mail-in ballot. I wasn't
Wait,
gonna throw it away.
Your wife's name isn't Julie, Vlad.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's Yulia, but we call her
Yeah,
Julia.
yeah. I was like, you just don't know your wife's name. I know it. Okay, that was good. I actually knew something you didn't about you. So, anyways,
But they
back to
mailed
the-
me a Washington State mail-in ballot to Arizona. I wasn't just gonna waste paper.
Look, I'm not an election denier anymore. That was 2021 me. That was me that got banned on YouTube. I'm now an election acceptor. Whatever
Yeah,
the
that's a
results are.
threat to democracy.
Yeah, hey, I'm no longer that threat. Okay, I believe in our democracy. I will vote with my computer if I have to. Okay, Vlad, I don't question elections at all. I no longer mail-in ballots, the best, most secure form of voting in history. The machines definitely always spew out the right results. No manipulation whatsoever. Anyways,
They're the
so
best. The best.
on that shutdown. Speaking of which, did you know Dominion got bought by some ex-Republican? Okay, that's it.
And
That's gonna be.
I made a video about him. I looked into him, and he actually said he wants to transform them to where all they do is they just give you. They don't tell you who you voted for. None of that. They just you put in a big stack after somebody like who'd you vote for, and they just give you a number of how many papers to
Oh.
verify. He said, I am going to either fix them to where they can't be connected. All they do is tabulate the number at the end of the day. They can't see who you even voted for. Or he said, I'm going to destroy them, get rid of them. He's a Trump supporter. He's working with the Trump administration to fix our elections.
Did he actually say that? 'Cause
Yes.
if he did, then base W right there. That's base.
Right, that's our
I
point.
love that.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. I think he should just do the latter and just destroy and have us paper
Turn
count.
them into prison cells, like Mike Lindell says.
Yeah, I thought that was a great saying by him. So on the shutdown, I think Democrats overplayed their hand. This is going to backfire massively because you now have a generation of people that don't consume CNN. They watch you. They watch millions of independent creators. They look at X. X used to be incredibly liberal. Now it's mostly Republican and conservative in terms of party identification. It's not because liberals just left and went to blue ski. That's not what really happened. I'm sure some liberals left, but it's more to do with the fact that free speech was restored. So conservative opinions were no longer being censored. So more conservatives joined X, and they are pushing the conversation in the right way. No pun intended. So I think the shutdown, that's a beautiful poll. I mean, 61% in the last shutdown Trump was involved in blamed him. Now it's only 48%, which means the other 52% are blaming something other than Trump. So they're blaming the Democrats. They're blaming.
Oh, yeah. More people are blaming Dems. Yep.
And I wonder what the midterms are going to look like, because we have somewhat of a constitutional crisis with the Supreme Court revisiting portions of the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act, which allowed for these gerrymandering, efforts. Now, Democrats say that gerrymandering is when Republicans draw a map to not involve black people. I actually think gerrymandering is when Democrats deliberately draw maps to only include black people. That's actually illegal. Like, you'll see these. I mean, the Texas maps actually make way more sense than the New York or Californian
or
congressional
Illinois.
maps. Yeah, or Illinois. Because, I mean, it's the Texas maps are just areas. They put them together and 700,000 people. You'll look at a California map and I kid you not, Vlad, you'll see weird lines just because they want neighborhoods that are more prone to Democrat voting to be included in those numbers. So I think if that happens, I think Democrats have more to lose than Republicans. Democrats would just simply lose more seats because Republicans control more states. And if the Supreme Court eliminates and rules that those maps are actually indeed unconstitutional in that portion of the Civil Rights Act, or the Voting Rights Act rather, is unconstitutional, then we will see Republicans with potentially gaining like 20 seats in the next midterm election. And I think that might happen. I think there is going to be intense pressure on the Supreme Court to make that decision, rightfully so, by the way, because it's time to just equal the playing field. Democrats should have to compete with ideas and not by making these weird maps.
I want to show you something. I
Yeah.
want you to kind of, I'm not too great with congressional maps. This is Washington State. So the purple means, right, it's number 5. There's just one representative who's representing that side, right? And then one who's representing the blue.
Yeah.
So number 5, isn't it supposed to be
That's a
one
pretty normal
representative?
map. That's a pretty
Hold on.
normal map.
Let me
because-
ask you this.
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be one representative to every 750,000 people?
Yeah.
Spokane County has 1 million people.
Really?
If you take in Richland, Walla Walla, because if you take Spokane, there should be 2 representatives there. If you take Richland and Walla Walla, and then around, and then that bottom part, that should be another one. And this would all be just conservatives. So because as soon as you leave Seattle, this entire part of the country is all red, all super dark red.
Well, I assume
So here-
Spokane, the city, might be blue, but the surrounding area is red.
Even
right?
Spokane, we every 4 years we go from Republican to Democrat mayor. But when it comes to Congress, we always elect a conservative. But just in the Spokane area, there should be at least 2 representatives.
Really?
No. Yes, I'm telling you, it's supposed to be 1 representative for every 750,000 people. But just Spokane County has just like around 1 million people, just Spokane County. And then you take in you take in Lincoln, Ferry, Stevens, Pandora, right? Whitman, Adams, Franklin, Walla Walla, Columbia, Aston, Garfield. That's about, I'd say 1.5 million people altogether. And there's only 1 representative for all of them. I'm telling you, it is so. You take Wenatchee, Yakima, and Kennewick and Richland down there that are in the middle. That right there is approximately, I'd say, another million people. And then when you look in you see Seattle, Everett, right? It's green, dude. Just Seattle. So right there, right next to Seattle, where it goes purple, there's so many little towns that are like 100,000, 200,000. All right. And so all these, just that,
Right,
like
you
King
said
County.
Spokane County is what's its population? You said
Here, about 1 million. Watch this.
okay, Vlad.
Watch this. Spokane
500,000.
County population. County.
I see
You got the
500,000.
estimated population of Spokane County. It's not telling. Watch.
Vlad is
Spokane?
shocked that his county has less than 1
Spokane
million people.
metro population. Spokane, the city of Spokane. Watch. 470,000. That's the city metro.
Yeah, but the
And
county
the
has only
Yeah.
an additional 100,000 people. Not
They're lying. Okay.
Okay,
watch this.
No, look. I actually think for all the corruption Washington State has, I think they have a pretty fair representation in terms of blue districts versus non-blue districts. I think what you're thinking is that the smaller counties have more people than they do.
Then
But
they say, yes, dude. Hold on. They
don't lie about population, Vlad. It's very accurate. These congressional, in terms of the amount of people in these congressional districts, what they lie about are like the amount of illegals. They count those as well.
yeah.
And that's a big problem. They count all persons in the United States as opposed to all citizens in the United States when giving out these congressional districts. In a real world scenario, Washington State would lose an electoral vote or 2 because Washington would probably gain 1 or lose none, but Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, these red states would gain an electoral vote at least. Well, Texas would gain like 5 if a real census was done. and the America First Legal Foundation filed a lawsuit challenging the 2020 census, claiming that it was done illegally, unlawfully, because they
Yeah.
counted every single literal person in the United States as
And you're
opposed
not.
to
Yeah.
real
Just,
citizens.
yeah.
And that has affected how congressional seats are given. And therefore, the country would be more red. Look, states like Washington are less of a problem than a California, because in Washington, it's hard to get away with it. Your population is what, like 8 million, 6 million people?
What? No, it's
It's
gotta be
not,
more.
I
I
don't
think
think you have like, I don't think you guys have like, 10 million. If you
it
do,
is
then I'd be shocked.
actually 8.1
Okay.
million.
8.1. Now, California has 38 million.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the problem, where in Washington, you have like 8 congressional seats, roughly. Or actually, I think it's like 10, closer to 10. So it's harder to, manipulate the map because you can only do so many different seats. California's a problem because they'll have like 45 seats. You can see my point? They'll
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
so many seats where, half the seats are just gerrymandered around to avoid white people in California because they tend to vote redder than the other minorities. So that's kind of the problem with California. New York is a little unique because most of its population is in one congested area. So New York City, will have most of those districts. And, it's a very liberal city. I think conservatives, we sometimes live in a delusional state where we don't want to believe New York and California are liberal. As in, the majority of people in those states are liberal. They see the world. Even the conservatives in a city like LA are very social liberals.
Yeah.
They might hold conservative voting values. They might be fiscal conservatives, but they're very liberal minded. They'll do pot, like they're very liberal in that sense. So a lot of the big cities are liberal, but the problem we see with these maps is that they'll take a portion of the liberal and then take a large rural area and disenfranchise the rural area by not drawing the map appropriately. That's the issue. It's not necessarily that if they drew the map correctly, Los Angeles, districts would suddenly be red. That's not necessarily how that works. But I mean, I'm not saying the cities are all doomed to be liberal forever. But if you think about environments with lots of people, they tend to lean more left in general.
Yeah, no, the country is going more conservative, but it's
Yeah, the
like
country
I remember. Look,
overall.
I'm
Yeah.
the biggest election denier in the world. Only the 2021.
Yeah,
It's
but when
everything
people
else
say
was
things
great.
like, "Oh, Gavin Newsom,"
Or
he
Trump
rigged it.
won, or when I hear people say Trump actually got like 120 million, like the Q people, and Biden only got like 10 million votes. Trump won every single state. I'm like, stop.
Yeah,
You
that's
say
not
that
how
because
it works.
the Q people are just like the CNN people. You're in your own bubble, and you
Yeah.
think you only know the truth. And then I'll be like, when was the last time you've been to California? Oh, in the 60s.
And
You know.
we in the United States, because we are so privileged with our governments, we don't give enough credit to the other side. So the left doesn't give credit to Republicans, and the Republicans don't give credit to the Democrats. Now, let me explain why. By credit, I don't mean we say, "Oh, Democrats do a good job when they're in power." That's not what I mean. I mean we think Democrats are like freaking Maduro in Venezuela, right? That when they come into power, they act like Maduro. But the thing is, Republicans and Democrats share a similar economic, well, it's not similar because Democrats overtax, a lot, and they do that, but they share a similar vision of what the American dream is. That's home ownership. It's still very similar. So even our opposition in the United States is not that far off. Like if you live in Great Britain, Labor is very different from conservative. the corporate entities are similar, but the people are very different. Labor voters think very differently from conservative voters. I mean, there's just generally no connections whatsoever. Whereas here, we have two parties, so we don't really we see a stark difference. But Democrats, when they get in power, what they do is they run up the deficit and try to create economic activity by government moves, by printing a lot of money and handing it out to corporations, the corporations they like and that give money to them. When Republicans get in, they also run up the deficit, right? But they give money to a different set of corporations, the military industrial complex. Like, yeah, I love when the military does cool things. I love our cool jets and the power of it. But we could probably do with a 500 billion budget for a few years until we can get this deficit under control. Like, no one talks about this, but our deficit would be a lot lower if we just didn't spend $1 trillion every year on defense.
And I'll say this: both sides suck.
Yeah. That's the point I'm getting at, where it's like,
but there's no president under who. Yeah, go ahead.
Give credit to the other side, and the other side doesn't give credit to us for being much more safe. Now, of course, when you have AOC and these people, they are actually like going to destroy the country. Like, they are legit commies. But we say like Chuck Schumer's a commie. No, he's not. He's really not a commie in the traditional sense.
Him and Trump were friends. Trump used to donate money to his campaign.
Right. And because generally speaking, it's a political. This is what George Washington was talking about. It's factions. My side, your side, and he said that's what was going to destroy America. I don't agree. I think there are times when men of similar interest should come together and under one banner fight for one cause. That's what Thomas Jefferson actually said in defense of his, Jeffersonian Republicans fighting the Federalists in the early days of the country. So I think there are needs for political parties, but I think sometimes we need to realize that we have it better than other countries when it comes to our political system. People say we have a two-party system. We need it. No, we don't. We don't need no third party. Look at the UK. They can't do anything because 50 parties are fighting for power. And no party is ever going to get a true majority. So they're going to have to create these like coalitions. And those coalitions are ineffective because they can't move in the same direction. Because half the coalition is a bunch of leftists that just don't like the other leftists. So they're joining you and they won't vote for your initiatives. You have to beg them. And by the time you get one thing done, the election cycle is back and you get a new party. So we actually have a much better system here and much better opposition than anywhere else in the world. So I'd like people on our side to appreciate that a little bit more, even though the left never will.
Whenever I'm watching our comments, I know like when there's Q guy, I know when there's a really pissed off guy. If someone starts telling me, look, Trump just arrested like 1 million pedophiles last night, I'm like, okay, who told you that?
Well, Vlad,
can I show you a video really quickly? This is a great video. I found it 2 days ago and I had to share it. It is so funny. Hold on. Okay, I found it. Hold on. Here we go.
Man,
you are going to
breathe here, man. Okay,
brother. Okay.
Oh no. Oh, this is funny. I watched it too.
We don't know. When do we want it? Also unclear. Why do we want it? Because it was forwarded to us in an email, so it must be true. Yeah.
So somebody took like a Q, making fun of Q, and just added like no kings is the same thing. But hey, before we wrap up, as you all know, this is the last thing I want to get your thoughts on. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, George is back on YouTube. His new channel is down below in the description. So breaking. Appeals court smacks down judge.
This is actually
allows Trump to deploy the National Guard troops to Portland. This is amazing.
Yeah.
National Guard going to Portland.
A Trump judge was responsible for the initial ruling to, stop the National Guard. I thought that was
Trump was?
disgusting. Yeah, Judge Emmergut.
A Trump appointed judge.
Yeah, she.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, what kind of name is Emmergut? Like, that's weird. That should have been Trump's. That should have been a red flag to Trump in his first term before appointing her. So she sided with Oregon's officials on that. But yeah, the Ninth Circuit Court, it was a 2-1 decision. They ruled against, preventing the National Guard from going in. Vlad, the Constitution is very clear on what the president's powers are. And the president's power is literally stated in the branch he leads, the executive branch. Execute. His job is to execute the laws, to carry out what Congress has passed, which the court must have found constitutional for that law to even be allowed to be enforced. So we have laws. We have laws about criminality and all these things, civil and criminal laws. Yet for whatever reason, it's only the president that has to beg the judiciary branch to give him permission to execute the laws with the powers given to him. One of the many powers he has is he's commander in chief. If he sees fit, which the law says that he needs to use other means, other troops, the military effectively, to enforce civil law and to enforce criminal law, he's absolutely allowed and empowered to do so. We have various laws that empower him to do it. The Insurrection Act is famously one of them. But in other instances, he's allowed to send federal troops to go defend federal facilities and do other things. So it's kind of disgusting that we're constantly in this legal squabble all the time with everything he does, where judges are saying no, and then the appeals say yes or no, and then the Supreme Court ultimately keeps having to rule in favor of the administration. If the Trump administration wants to kind of end this charade, they should file one gigantic motion to the Supreme Court seeking injunctive relief against all these rulings. And I think the Supreme Court needs to clarify, what is a district judge's power? I mean, they already did well to reduce nationwide injunctions. I thought that was a great decision. Like, they can't keep issuing these injunctions all over the place. That was good, but now we need it specific to the district courts when they interact with executive power. So we actually need a clarification from the highest court in the land, because this is getting annoying. Or we need Congress to step in and say, and this is my suggestion, if a district judge continues to get overturned on appeal on political cases, they should just lose the ability to hear those cases altogether in the future, or cases of like manner, or cases, pertaining to the same administration. That would mean that the judges have to be constitutional and fair and objective. If that happens, Vlad, we would actually start getting good decisions. We would start getting amazing decisions. So I think the Trump administration needs to move in that route. Congress needs to pass that kind of law. Get rid of the filibuster. To be completely honest, I understand when we don't have power, it's nice to be able to stop some things, but they don't do their job to stop a lot of the big stuff anyways. So Republicans should get rid of the filibuster. They would reopen the government instantly because they wouldn't need 60 votes. They would do it with a simple majority. We could do wonders in this country. We could reform the judiciary. We could fix the country and then put it back on. Of course, Democrats would remove it as soon as they get power again. But we could make the country so good and so functional that the Democrats can't come in and undo anything we do. So anyways, I got to run, Vlad. I got to run.
No, that was great. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, go in the description right now. Subscribe to George's new channel. He's back on. God bless you. Have a great day. We're out.
Yep. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.